It's a big club and you ain't in it. That's a quote coming from comedian George Carlin a little while back, and he was speaking about, power and influence, generally dealing with politics too, and how that works. And generally speaking, it's kind of a club. And if you are in it, you get through. If you're not in it, well, tough. It kind of reminds me more locally here, if you're a Trinidadian, at least more locally here, speaking about a song that was sung by King David Rudder, one of our known musicians and artists out there, and he sang about a ragamuffin monarchy turning into a parasitic oligarchy. And I understand exactly what he means there. You see, monarchy and oligarchy refers to different ways a country could be run. Monarchy having that king, that one head leader there, while oligarchy refers to rule by a powerful ruling class, a ruling group, a group of people that are well connected with each other, and they are the ones that are ruling. They talk about the oligarchs in Russia and the oligarchs in Ukraine, the oligarchs in Eastern Europe, etc., etc., etc. But I have a kind of feeling that the vast majority of nearly any ruling systems turn into oligarchies kind of inevitably, because power has a way to concentrate among a smaller and smaller group as they go on. And we're going to talk about this in relations and in regards to Trinidad and Tobago, because we're seeing some of these questions about oligarchic kinds of power relationships within the corridors of power. It seems like everyone is related to each other and they aren't related to us. So everyone in power is related to each other and everyone out of power is related to each other. It kind of feels like an oligarchy and an underclass in a way. We're going to dive into that, but right before we do, if you like this kind of content, it's been a while since I dropped one of these more news story videos instead of just the lives. Make sure you hit that like button, share the video, drop a comment, tell me what you think, tell me, hey, it's been a while and I want more of this stuff. Drop a comment, tell me what you think. We're going to dive into this, and a lot of it seems in relation to judges, at least in Trinidad and Tobago of recent. Don't judge me. I have no political connection. So said High Court Judge Betsy Ann Lambert Peterson, who on Friday took the unprecedented step of issuing a personal statement defending herself against the claim of bias made in an application brought by the Public Services Association through its attorney, former Attorney General Annan Ram Logan, seeking to have her recuse herself from presiding over the PSA's legal challenge on the constitutional validity of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. The PSA is claiming that her spouse's closeness to the Prime Minister creates a strong possibility of bias on her part in favor of the government. The judge has declined to recuse herself from presiding over the case. My marriage has not dimmed my ability to exercise a high degree of agency in my personal and professional life, she said. Her formal personal statement was issued last Friday, moments before the hearing of the application of bias. In a statement, the justice confirmed that her husband, Gilbert Peterson, senior counsel, is one of the Prime Minister's golfing friends, confirmed that he has purchased 2 townhouses in Tobago from Inez Investments, the same development in which the Prime Minister purchased the townhouse, confirmed that he is chairman of 2 state companies for which he receives stipends, confirmed that he spoke in favor of Attorney General Reginald Armour in the motion of no confidence which was considered by the Law Association last year, confirmed that he is a director of RH Gas which received a bunkering license from the Ministry of Energy, and confirmed that he had represented Dr. Keith Rowley in several court matters. However, Justice Lambert Peterson has maintained that she can adjudicate objectively on the TTRA case which is before her, and in which the political and financial stakes are high for the Rowley government as it seeks to implement a critical pillar in its tax-raising policy. Well-connected judge. What do you do in such a case? What do you do if the judge is really well connected to the ruling party? See, the nature of our political systems is humanity hasn't just plopped down on earth last 60 years since Trinidad and Tobago became independent. We have been here for a while. Some people may say a different length of time, but either way, it's a long time. So we have seen some things work and some things not work. So in many of our modern ruling systems, democratic systems, Republican systems, the idea is to have counterbalances and countermeasures so that one doesn't become too strong over the other. So you have your political directorate, the ones who are in charge of making political decisions, but you try and separate that from the judicial branch, because you don't want your politicians to be in charge of the justice system. Also, you also try and separate that from your law enforcement area. You try to separate these things so that all the strings of power that you could pull as a puppet master, as it will, all of them don't head to one person or one group. You're trying to make sure the power isn't concentrated too much. That's the very idea. But if you have a case where all of this splitting up of power that is done in the system, on the system side, is kind of undone by just the people who are supposed to be in the different areas coming together, that's going to make that whole system turn on its head. The independent places that you are hoping would be independent may not be independent anymore. Going to another article that kind of speaks about this, and we're going to finish back with the judge and the connections, etc. there. But there was another article a little while back, about halfway through this month, where they were speaking about something very similar. Angry AG defends wife in Senate. An angry Attorney General Reginald Amos Senior Counsel defended his wife, Industrial Court member Elizabeth Solomon, in the Senate on Tuesday against remarks on her professional roles earlier by opposition Senator Wade Mack. "Do not call my wife's name," stormed Amos as he wound up debate on the arbitration amendment bill. Now, the bacchanal seemed to have been that they were saying his wife, allegedly, may have some connections to a private company that may benefit from this arbitration amendment bill. She may have personal profit that she may get from this, along with other people. So to have these people who may be getting personal profit being on the side of giving advice on what to write for the bill, and on the side of pushing this bill that is supposed to benefit all of Trinidad, you could understand why people are saying there may be a conflict of interest here. But let's see what is going on with this, because another government minister said Mitchell, in his contribution, accused Mack of confusing two different legal organizations regarding an unnamed document which Mack had cited an unnamed organization helping, etc. What Senator Mack did very, very dangerously was to conflate Dialogue Solutions Limited with the Dispute Resolution Center, Mitchell said. It was the latter which had provided draft policies to improve arbitration. Mitchell named about 12 people who he said comprise the Dispute Resolution Center, including a representative of each of the Ministry of the Attorney General, Office of the Chief Parliament Counsel, and Law Reform Commission, a retired judge, senior counsel, plus, listen to these names, plus Solomon, who is the AG's wife, and Senator Anthony Vieira. So these were all part of a council, the Dispute Resolution Center, who came together and gave advice on how to make this arbitration amendment bill. Okay, so they should be just experts in this field. They aren't here to seek their own interests necessarily. So we have an independent senator, one Mr. Vieira, and we have the Attorney General's wife there, and well, the Attorney General is the Attorney General. So if we go over now to the other company that Mitchell spoke about, the private company, which is Dialogue Solutions Limited, and you go to their website. I've done this before in a live. You go to their website, you scroll down about them, nice, lovely, arbitration, dialogue, nice. The chairman is our Attorney General, Senior Counsel, and you go right down scrolling the board. The next person is that same independent senator that was a part of the group that gave advice on how to best write this bill. Scrolling past some more of these board members, we have their director emerita, one Miss Her Honor Elizabeth Solomon, the wife of the AG. So we have a group that advises on how to write the law that includes at least two people that may or may not benefit from this amendment that is being passed. And one of the people is related to the Attorney General, who is the one carrying the bill to the House. You understand? Like, okay, I'm not saying for sure that they wrote something in the bill to benefit the private company that they may be a part of. I'm not saying that. I'm not making that accusation. But you must understand how it looks. You are the one writing the law, then you are the one that has the company that would best be suited to benefit from the law. Potentially, maybe, allegedly. Who knows? But you must understand it's looking a kind of way. It's looking like, well, this may be the oligarchy that we are seeing here, and we may not be part of it. That's the big club that we are not in. Coming back to this more recent news here, professional relationship with Prime Minister Lambert Peterson, however, confirmed many of the facts on which the PSA has rested its bias claim. From my knowledge, Mr. Peterson Senior Counsel has over the years developed a professional relationship with Dr. Keith Rowley, the current Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Shortly after Mr. Peterson Senior Counsel started playing golf, he developed friendships with other golfers, including Dr. Rowley. I am aware that Mr. Peterson regularly plays golf with a group of golfers, which includes Dr. Rowley, she said. In response to the claim that her spouse had been paid over $18 million in lucrative legal briefs from the government, the justice said, I am aware that Mr. Peterson Senior Counsel has no political affiliations or relationships. I am not aware of him lending political support to the People's National Movement or any person or political party. I do not know Mr. Peterson to have any party affiliation. I am aware that he has been retained from time to time by the state through the respective offices of Director of Public Prosecution and the Attorney General by virtue of the State Liability and Proceedings Act. When retained, Mr. Peterson Senior Counsel is remunerated for the work done. And true, if the man has a job, he is a resident of Trinidad and Tobago, he's a lawyer, he is a senior counsel, a senior lawyer, he has a position there, then his relationships shouldn't preclude him from getting the job. So because he plays golf with Dr. Rowley, that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be able to get a job anymore. But again, we're back into that same kind of position where, okay, because someone is more familiar with people in a leadership position, that puts them in a place to more easily access resources from the government, obviously. But because someone has a relationship with someone in a leadership position, does that mean then that they should never be able to access those jobs? Probably not. She added that Peterson's legal counsel was sought by governments throughout the English-speaking Caribbean. Justice Lambert Peterson said there was no need for her to notify the PSA that she was married to Peterson Senior Counsel, as this had no bearing on the settled legal principles that are required in the proceedings. She added that if there had been a need for such a disclosure, the PSA's attorney would have raised it from the time the matter was assigned to my docket. She said Peterson was not Dr. Rowley's golfing partner, as alleged, but that Dr. Rowley was one of Mr. Peterson's golfing friends, and that he regularly plays golf in the same group of players. She also acknowledged that Peterson, on the advice of the government, was appointed by the president as chairman of the Legal Aid and Advisory Authority and chairman of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. That's 2 board chairmanships one man has. So again, we have to start to ask some questions. All right, because you have a relationship, because you are within the golf group. Let's call it the golf group. It's not an oligarchy, it's a golf group. If you are in the golf group, does that mean that you cannot get a job? I think that shouldn't mean that. But if you are in the golf group, does that mean that you could get the state briefs and 2 appointments to 2 state boards as the chairman of both boards, where you would be receiving remuneration for each of the appointments? Really? Are we to believe that one? Okay. I don't think that you shouldn't get a job as a lawyer. Of course, you get your state briefs. That's your job. If you're good at it, you're good at it. Great. But 2 board chairmanships. Are you telling me that of all the people in Trinidad and Tobago, 1.4 million people, of all of these people, you could not find two people at the managerial level to lead two boards other than this one man who also just so happens to coincidentally belong inside of your golf group? Really? You want people to believe this? And Dr. Rowley was the same man, the same politician who threw a massive fit. He basically, some might see it as this way, he basically sabotaged the PNM of the late 2000s. Before the partnership, it could be said by some old PNM faithfuls, they may say that he sabotaged that Patrick Manning PNM party because of something much like this. He did not like that Mr. Manning was appointing Mr. Calder Hart to so many different board positions. That one man had too much power. He had too much of an heir to the Prime Minister. Okay, well, why is one man in two boards? And why is that one man collecting state briefs? And then it so happens that one man is also one of your golfing friends. You're understanding? There are some questions that would obviously be raised there. Is it the ragamuffin monarchy has now evolved into the parasitic oligarchy? Is that what we're seeing here? However, noting that Peterson Senior Counsel was also chairman of the disciplinary committee of the Law Association, she said all his appointments were based on his legal experience and standing and were not political appointments. So there's no one else in Trinidad and Tobago that has his legal experience and standing to be appointed to those jobs. There's no one else that would fit those jobs like him. It has nothing to do with the fact that he is in the same golfing group as the Prime Minister. Nothing to do with that. Pillow Talk. In the affidavit filed by Teresa Dorey on behalf of the PSA in support of the application of bias, she stated, the money made through lucrative briefs from the government and the defendant and the positions to which the government has appointed Mr. Peterson Senior Counsel would not simply benefit him alone, but is bound to redound to the benefit of his wife and family. Indeed, the anticipated increase in revenue, which the government hopes to achieve via the TTRA, means there will be even more money available to pay legal fees for lawyers. The affidavit went on, it said, since Peterson's appointment as chairman of TAT, that's the Telecommunications Authority, several letters of warning had been issued to radio and TV stations that carry political broadcasts criticizing Rowley. It cited Inch and Ishmael's breaking barriers, and it noted that Ishmael complained that PNM political activist Juliet Davies, an employee of the Port of Spain Corporation, had not had similar action taken against her by TAT, notwithstanding the fact that she continuously broadcast racially divisive and hateful statements against the Indian community, where the opposition UNC draws its majority support. And it is incredible that Mr. Peterson Senior Counsel or anyone else from TAT has not intervened to stop her. The affidavit said Peterson Senior Counsel, as chairman of TAT, had also turned a blind eye to disgusting statements made by Rowley, which included references to the private parts of women and the PM's comparison of a woman to a golf course, saying she needs to be groomed. Dorey stated that there was a policy of different strokes for different folks by the Peterson-chaired Telecommunications Authority. The affidavit stated that Peterson received 18 million, we know that, and they also spoke about that he had purchased 2 townhouses in the Inez development on Shervan Road in Tobago. This development is owned by Mr. Alan Warner, who is known to be a close friend and supporter of the Prime Minister in Tobago, and serious questions have been raised about the disparity in the purchase price paid by the Honorable Prime Minister and his daughter for 2 townhouses when compared to other purchasers in this said development. The affidavit stated, adding that other purchasers in this housing development included Newman George and Central Bank Governor Dr. Alvin Hilaire. I wonder if any of them are also part of this golfing group. I wonder if Mr. Warner himself may be part of this golfing group. And after a while, looking at the golfing group and all of the people linked to it and all of the wealth that seems to luckily flow in their direction, and the benefit and favor that just coincidentally seems to head their way, you have to wonder if that golfing group is really a golfing group or if it's an oligarchy. Is that where the group of powerful people in this country meet? On the golf course there? If I want to be appointed to a state board, if I want to get access to state contracts, if I probably want to own a townhouse in Tobago, is it that I need to find myself on the golf course and introduce myself to this golfing group? And I'm not saying that the judge out there, the justice out there, cannot hold her fairness and her judgments in line with the law, even though she's related to a member of the golfing group. I'm not saying that is true, but you must understand, again, questions would be raised. If your partner is in the big club that other people aren't a part of, they're on the inside, isn't it a legitimate question to ask if you could perfectly be fair when adjudicating on something as such? And on the holistic side, I think this points more to the oligarchy problem in Trinidad and Tobago on a whole. Who mans these state boards? What's the staff that makes up the state boards? Is it made up of people who are best for the job, or is it golf group friends? That's all I have for now, but you could tell me what you think. Drop a comment, tell me what you think. If you haven't hit that like button, please do hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained, and I will see you in the next video.